Over or under? What's going on, BLV football fans and gridiron gamblers out there? It's Mitch here, back with another week of NFL picks. This time, my NFL over-under selections for Week 13 of the 2023 NFL season. Last week, decent week. We went 9-7 on the week, and now our record is up to 97, 80, and 3, just, and I mean just, trailing our spread record for the season. So, again, listen to my advice. Don't always go with my selections. A lot of these games, unlike straight up picks or even spread picks, they're a lot harder, in my opinion, to have a clear, obvious pick for. It's a lean with a lot of these games. Like, people will be like, oh, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're saying. It's like, it's really hard to predict the score in the NFL. So there's only so many games you're going to have a true strong opinion on, right? Let me know yours in the comment section below. Gronk spiked the like button. Well, let's roll, man. Let's go with some NFL over-under picks, beginning with Thursday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have been on fire as of late on offense. Dak Prescott, Dakota, is looking like an MVP, and I don't blame you if you think this is going to go over, but personally, I like the under in this game, and I've bet this under, actually. So if you're watching this before Thursday Night Football, if you want to tail me, I understand. If you don't want to and you want to fade me, I also understand. Now, the way I look at it is Geno Smith and the Seattle offense has been putrid. I mean, guys, they didn't score an offensive touchdown against San Francisco at home last week in a primetime Thanksgiving spot. This week, they play an equally great defense in the Dallas Cowboys, and maybe even more so, a better pass rush than the 49ers, maybe the only one in football. And it's a severe weakness for the Seahawks right now, pass protection. They're not giving Geno enough time to operate. They're not really running the ball to take some pressure off of Geno. And the Dallas Cowboys have good cover corners, including Stephon Gilmore and Deron Bland, the pick six specialist. I think the Cowboys will suffocate the Seattle offense. And the way I look at it on the other side is that Seattle's defense is underrated. Like, Flowers, Witherspoon has come in there. You know, I don't know why I always want to say Flowers. Maybe it's like Devin Witherspoon and Zay Flowers. I get mixed up. But Devin Witherspoon has been phenomenal, and I think he's going to give CeeDee Lamb all he can handle at that nickel position and in the slot for CeeDee Lamb. And Seattle's defense has improved against the run since Leonard Williams came in there. And I also view them as a competitive unit in coverage. Like, they've got 3 good safeties, multiple good cornerbacks. I think this is the best and most talented defense that the Cowboys have played in weeks. They've been really beating up on the Washingtons and the Giants of the world. So give me the under on Thursday Night Football. Now let's move to Sunday, where we begin with the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Chargers. And guys, I'm not going to play games here. It's a New England Patriots game. You will make money by betting the under. Belichick loves to play through his defense as much as it loses him games. It's the way that he likes to coach, and I see it no different in this one. I also think the Chargers were impressive on defense against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think that carries over into a game against New England, where it might be a little cold in New England, which would also help the offenses suffer. We've seen Keenan Allen pop up on the injury report, so it's going to be interesting to see if he is good to go for the Chargers. And Demario Douglas for New England is also beat up. This will be probably my most heaviest play of the week in terms of totals. Like, I love the under in any Patriots game, but you're talking about a matchup against Herbert that Belichick has done very, very well in over the last few years. And you're also talking about a Patriots offense that can barely score 10 points. I mean, they've lost the last couple of weeks scoring and holding opponents to 10 points or less, 14 points or less. That's absurd. Okay, so I've got the Patriots to not score any points, the Chargers to score a little bit more points, but nothing too crazy. Next, Dolphins and Commanders, 49.5. I like the over, I think. I don't trust Washington's defense even at home and Miami going on the road. They haven't been as good or electric on offense, but Miami's had extra days off to rest. I also feel like Sam Howell and Washington, they push the pace. They score, they move the football. Eric Bieniemy loves his pass attempts. I think this is a game where Miami probably gets a lead. Washington chases from behind. It forces Miami to continue to score. And then you're talking about Miami being in the 30s and probably Washington being in the low 20s. And I think that's the type of game you're going to get here. I think this gets into the 50 range. I'm going to go over 49.5 in that game in Washington, as long as there's not any weather. Keep an eye out on that. Next up, we've got the Colts and the Tennessee Titans. The Colts and the Titans, 42.5. I like the under. This is a rare Colts under, but this game is in Tennessee. And, man, I just feel that these AFC South games between Vrabel and the Colts typically go under. Actually, you know what? I might change my opinion on this. The Colts are really good at getting overs. I don't know what it is. So this is obviously not a bet for me. So don't take this as a bet. The Titans, they're going to run the ball. The Colts have been weak against the run. Colts might find a way to throw the ball. I mean, this one's tricky. I could see this going over as well. I'm still going to go under just because I don't trust Will Levis or Gardner Minshew to get me an over in this spot. I don't trust Gardner Minshew on the road against a pretty good, Titans front that can rush the passer as well as stop the run. And I don't really trust Will Levis to make enough plays with his arm to really torch the Colts secondary. So that's why I'll go under. But it's obviously not a comfortable play there. Next up, 47 Detroit and the Saints. I'm going to go over. I don't love it. It's in a dome. But my question really comes down to, are the Saints going to score? Because Chris Olave is injured. Rashid Shaheed is definitely out. You've got Michael Thomas on IR. So are there enough weapons for Derek Carr to really score points against this Detroit defense? I do think Taysom Hill will have a big game. I do think Jawan Johnson is a startable fantasy asset. I do feel like Olave has a chance to play. Kamara is going to make things happen. I do think Carr will move the ball in between the 20s. The question is, will they score in the red zone? For Detroit, I definitely think they're going to score without Marshawn Lattimore on this defense. Cameron Jordan's also injured. Demario Davis is banged up. There's a lot of banged up players. Marcus May is banged up for the Saints. They're all on the injury report. So I think Detroit's going to have a big offensive output here. I could see them scoring in the 30s. The question will be the Saints, right? I think the Lions will probably cover the 4. So I'm going to say, around that 31-23 type of range. I'm going to say over, but I'm not confident about the Saints side. I might look at a Lions team total, maybe. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but that's the way that might be the best way to play it. Next, we've got the Atlanta Falcons at the New York Jets. The Jets defense is good against the pass. They have weaknesses against the run. Atlanta likes to run the football. That's going to be the point of emphasis in this game. For Atlanta's defense, they make plays, and they turn them into sixes, as we saw last week with Jesse Bates. I do think Atlanta's defense has thrived against poor quarterbacks and bad opponents, and mostly they've held those teams in check. It's been the upper echelon teams that have given the Falcons defense some fits. I think this is an under, just because I think neither team will look to really turn the ball over. I think both quarterbacks will play it extremely conservatively. I think both teams will look to run the football over anything else. So I think this is an under as low as the total is, but I don't really advise betting it just because it's such a low number. It's 34. That's insane. Next, 47.5 for the Texans and the Broncos. I like the under. I'm a believer in the Denver defense. If there's anything I'm a believer in when it comes to the Broncos and their winning streak, it's the secondary. I think they've played really, really well. Surtain and Justin Simmons leading the way, but they've made some replacements in the secondary since that 70-point performance by their defense against Miami. They've been a totally different defense with new players in the back end. And I think that's going to hold up against the Texans. I think they're going to force the Texans to be more balanced here. I think Stroud's going to find less success than usual. And I think they're going to run the ball, the Texans. But I think it will be successful for the Texans. It's just going to take less points off the board. And then for Denver offensively, they love to run the ball. They love to possess the ball. They're going to do that against the Texans. And I think the Texans pass rush, especially at home, is a little underrated as well. The Texans defense in general, I think, is a tad underrated. So I see this game similar to the Jags and Texans, where it looks like both teams can score in bunches, but it's going to be a game where it's like 24-21. So I think it's going to go under here. Next up, 41 for the Cardinals and the Steelers. I like the under. It's a Steelers game. I don't really have to say much more. I think the Steelers defense, especially at home, can come to play here against a Kyler-led offense that might not have all his weapons. Kyler's also a quarterback that loves to get outside the pocket. I think it's going to be trouble against TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and the pass rush of the Steelers, where they're used to playing Lamar Jackson. I think they'll understand how to perform against Kyler Murray. So I think this is like a 20-13 classic Steelers type of performance here. Next up, we've got the Cleveland Brownies at the Los Angeles Rams. Total is 40. I like the under just because Joe Flacco's starting. And Joe Flacco, I don't know if you watched him last year. He was so bad. And he's a statue in the pocket. He will not move. I can't see the Browns scoring 17 to 20 points. I think at most they get to 17. I think the Rams, it's a tough test for them against this pass rush of the Browns. And although the Browns defense has been lesser on the road, I still think the Rams will struggle because their offensive line is their weakness. So I think the Rams will win the game. I have them covering the game, but I think it will be a lot because their defense. And I also feel like they'll play it conservatively on offense, not try to turn the football over, and understand the only way they lose this game is if Myles Garrett and the Cleveland defense just goes off. So I think it's going to be like a 20-13, similar to the Steelers game. Maybe even a 17-10 Rams win, something like that. So I have the Rams winning, covering, but I think it's going to go under 40. I like that. I like that number. I think that's a good number to take the under on. Next up, 37 for the Panthers and the Bucks. For some reason, I like the over. Not quite sure why. As long as Baker is good to go and he's healthy enough, I think this is going to go over. The Panthers' offense has been pretty bad, but I think without Frank Reich, a coaching spark may happen. I think they might pull out a couple trick plays, maybe go for it on fourth down, maybe a new kind of emphasis on the offense, some way, shape, or form. And the Bucs are known for giving up big plays down the field. They are good against the run, but the pass has been a different story. They also have a lot of injuries on defense. The Panthers have injuries on defense as well. I think Baker Mayfield, as long as he's upright, will make plays against this secondary of the Panthers. So I think this is an over 37. I think this is like a 23-20, more so than a 17-16 type of game like we saw with the Titans and the Panthers last week, where it was very low scoring. I think it's a little bit different with how they play it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to go over here. Next, 47.5 for the Niners and the Eagles. I'm going to go over, and the reason I'm going to go over here is I think the Niners are going to score a lot of points. I think the Niners, as long as it's not pouring rain, so keep an eye out on the injury, or not the injury report, but the weather report. If the weather suggests rain, then I'd lean towards the under, but wait until Sunday to place this bet. I like the team total of the Niners right now at 24.5. I think that's a smash. We saw the Bills put up tons of points and tons of yards. We've seen the Cowboys put up tons of points and tons of yards. Washington put up tons of points and tons of yards. The Niners are the best offense in the league, and they can run it, they can throw it. I think Brock Purdy's going to have a huge game here, and I think McCaffrey could have a huge game as well. I just don't see how the Eagles match up well at all with the Niners offense, considering that the weakness of the Eagles is their linebacker position, and the strength of Kyle Shanahan has always been manipulating linebackers in play action and the run game. So I think this is a 30 burger from the Niners, and as long as the Eagles can do their part, especially in comeback fashion, to make this game interesting in the end, I think this is an over. So give me the over here. Next up, 42.5 for the Chiefs and the Packers. I kind of like the under. That the Packers offense has been good. Maybe I'm going into a tough spot here, but the Chiefs defense is really good. I have a lot of trust in them, even on the road. And I don't have a lot of trust in Jordan Love versus an elite defense. I haven't seen that very much this year. So as good as he's playing, and as well as he played against the Lions, I still need to see that to believe it. The Chiefs are really good in the secondary, and I don't really see A.J. Dillon running all over the Chiefs either. On the other side, I think the Packers defense is really talented. They've got a good pass rush, and I think their secondary can match up with the Chiefs receivers. I mean, they drop passes constantly. They can't really separate. It's really only Travis Kelce you got to worry about. So I think this is like a 20. This is right around the number. I think it's going to be like 23-20, 21-17, 24-17. That type of game. Like, I think it's in that range. Maybe it just goes over. Maybe it just goes under. This is a really good number. I think the under has been historically great on Sunday night this year, so I'm going to stick with that. Monday Night Football, where the under has also been historically great, 39. I'm going to go with, this is actually kind of tough. I actually feel like the over could be in play here if the Jags get up early, but I think this could be an under just because I'm going to roll with the trends of what it suggests on Monday night, which is the under. And Browning's a quarterback that I confidently would back up in an under spot. Jacksonville's defense, their pass rush specifically, has been pretty darn good. At home, it should be really, really good against a below-average offensive line of Cincinnati. And with Burrow not in there, it completely destroys what they want to be on offense. Burrow is the offense. Like, it runs through his arm, his accuracy, his tempo, his brain, most importantly. And Jacksonville's offense has been up and down all year. You could definitely see Cincinnati's defense coming through here with a pretty good performance after a really bad one against Pittsburgh. But even in that performance where they allowed 400 yards, they didn't allow a lot of points. So they're good situationally. They keep you out of the end zone. And Doug Peterson is known for not kicking field goals and going for it on 4th and short. That's where Cincinnati could keep themselves in the game here. So I think this is an under 39. Those are my picks for week number 13, guys. Over or under? Let me know yours in the comment section below. Appreciate you all. 45K is incredible. Man, 50K is going to be absolutely unbelievable, and we're going to get there soon, guys. So thank you so much for your support. This season's been awesome. Let's continue to roll. Gronk, spike the like button. Subscribe. See you soon. Peace.